from the Fox Business Network. It's the one and only Deirdre Bolton. What? Joined by the Blaze TV and radio host Lawrence Jones, fresh off the outnumbered couch, and Republican strategist and author of GOP GPS, Evan Siegfried, is here. Welcome, everyone.
Hey.
Great to have you. Deirdre, I will start with you. So Steve Bannon is now emboldened to go into all these primary races,
He's ready.
Talk to his friends with money, and run candidates that are going to run against the establishment. What will it do to the party?
Yeah, it's a revolution, although I think it could also be a remake of Mean Girls, right? I mean, he's the ultimate frenemy of Donald Trump, so he's fighting against Trump.
Yeah.
Right? But then
He did in this race, but tried to bill it as, no, this is really the Trump-like
this is really for you.
Yeah.
This is the inner Trump, so deep down you don't even know. And at the same time, still working with him, apparently, still on phone calls, still strategizing. But to me, this is the populist outcry. And yeah, strategically, there's going to be some really big, tough races ahead. We even saw McConnell, worst 24 hours for this man, right?
Yeah.
Corker retiring. I think we're seeing the fissures for sure.
All right, so let's talk about Corker a little bit. This is the Tennessee senator who was friends with Donald Trump, but then came out and criticized him after Charlottesville, and now he says he's not going to run for re-election. What does that mean? Is that a direct follow-through from the Moore victory in the Alabama runoff?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that much, but I think some of these politicians are just sick of it, and some of them are just willing. I would compare him more of like a Senator Snow. He was one that wanted to compromise, and he realizes that the country is going a different direction. I would push back on the whole Bannon thing, because I think it's more than just Bannon. We're talking about the Sarah Palins of the world, that populist movement, and I do believe that they still have the base of the party right now. And so they realize, a person like Bannon realizes that they really start to pick them off one by one in the White House. But now he can put people that are in the Senate or the House of Representatives that can make direct changes from another branch of government.
Well,
so I
and
think
now
that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and now that Bannon is sort of unshackled from the ethical rules of working in the White House, and he knows how the sausage is made from the inside out, now what happens?
Now we're seeing more and more further right candidates come out and challenge sitting senators and members of the House.
Will they be successful?
And I think some will be successful, absolutely. Look at Kelly Ward, who is giving fits to Jeff Flake and putting Jeff Flake in danger. But this is a gift to Democrats. I think she might if things continue on this trend. But Democrats are liking this because they're thinking we're going to have Christine O'Donnell type candidates across the country.
Oh.
Democrats think they can pick up Jeff Flake's seat because
if there's enough chaos in these primaries that they'll wound the candidates in the general. I want to bring Deirdre in.
I was just going to say Trump's base may have won Alabama, but I mean the Goldman Sachs elite guys won the tax reform. So I think while we're all kind of mudslinging, there's this other half of the party that's actually putting policy in place. This might be the only thing that gets
the quiet
done.
rich half, isn't it?
It is the quiet rich half, and the only thing that might get done on the domestic agenda before the end of the year.
All right, well, here's a question for you. Do women who voted for Donald Trump lack the confidence to think for themselves? Former First Lady Michelle Obama, well, she seems to think so, and she said as much yesterday when she told a Boston conference, quote, "Any woman who voted against Hillary Clinton voted against their own voice." To me, that just says you don't like your voice. You like the thing that you're told to like. And to think, people say Democrats have a condescending attitude toward voters. While Michelle's comments won't rank as that high on the offensive-meter as Hillary Clinton's calling Trump supporters a basket of deplorables, they're also not going to help Democrats win back a voting bloc that's crucial to turning around their fortunes in the midterm elections. So can Democrats win back female Trump supporters, or is it no use because they're just going to do whatever they're told? This is really interesting and so hypocritical because they're thinking independently. They're thinking about economics. And to say that you only voted for someone because someone else told you to vote that way, can you imagine anything more off-putting?
I know, it's so self-righteous, too. Like, it's like you have to as a woman because you can't think freely.
This is your voice. I'm telling you what your voice is and how to vote.
And it kind of struck a nerve for me because I feel like this is exactly what the Democratic Party does to black people as well. You have to work for us. You have to vote for us because there's no other option that of people that's going to work for you. And I think that, quite frankly, voters are getting tired of it because they're not seeing results. They're not reaping benefits for voting for Democrats. And I think the party has to have a real self-evaluation and say, what are we doing for the people? It's not just about us. It's about the people.
Yeah, and what are we doing for individuals?
Yeah.
Not just women, but individuals. Yeah. Stop looking at people just based on their gender or
just like slapping the stickers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's talk about oversimplifying.
Yeah, Democrats like to put people in little boxes and say, okay, we need to have this many Latinos turn out for us, this many African Americans, this many whites, etc. But if you hear what Democrats have said for years and why many voters who voted for Donald Trump are turned off by Democrats, it's because of the condescending nature and attitude taken by Democrats. Oh, they're just voting against their own self-interest because they don't know any better.
Yeah, and someone told them to vote.
If you're trying to bring somebody over and win them over, in political or dating or friendship,
a good idea. Well, maybe that's why Michelle Obama isn't running for.
I hate your shoes, but I'll still have
an abusive relationship.
So, Deirdre, you're a woman.
A woman? Let's stretch it all. I just think it's about a branding exercise. If I were working for the Democratic Party, I would say, could the people who are now out of office or attached with previous bygone errors just be quiet and let the new stars
just for a little bit?
Because
not forever. You can come back and do stuff and make movies.
Yeah, but the more that the former generation keeps sucking up airspace, right, the worse it is when there are actually strategic opportunities for that party if they get organized, if they bring out their new stars.
To me, it's just about the brand. Think differently, which they don't. And their new stars are also octogenarians like Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, they will have a wheelchair on every corner so they can just get.
But if they actually ran the Tim Ryans of the world, who understood that the economic struggle is the one at the forefront for a majority of people, regardless of where they live or what kind of reproductive parts they have, I think Democrats would be a much bigger threat to Republicans who also don't do a great job of capitalizing.
But to your point, it's about the money. It's about the money you have in your pocket.